All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we are now going to take a look at the games from last night around the NBA, a few game twos. So we'll start off with the Celtics and the Magic. So there was no Jason Tatum in this game, and it's amazing. This was the first playoff game that the Celtics played last night without Jason Tatum since I believe 2017. And I think Ian Eagle was, um, naming what the listing what the starting lineup was at the time, and it was. Let me see if I can remember. So it was Avery Bradley, Al Horford. Um, I don't think was Jalen Brown. I don't think Jalen Brown was in it. Are those the only two guys? I think those are the only two guys I remember. I'm trying to think of who else was. Either way, it's been a long time. It's since 2017. But Al Horford was in the starting lineup. Avery Bradley was there. I think Jalen Brown was on the team, but I don't know if he was in the starting lineup. But either way, it's been a while. But the Celtics, they picked up the win last night. They picked up the win. Obviously, it was tougher without Tatum. But Jalen Brown, speaking of Jalen Brown, he really stepped up. He finished with a double-double, 36 points, 10 rebounds, had a good shooting night, was 12 of 19 from the field, 5 of 7 from 3, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. A lot of rebounds from the Celtics, 10 from Al Horford, 10 from Porzingis. We'll talk about him in a second. Porzingis also finished with double-double. Not a great shooting night, 10 of 14 from the free throw line, 5 of 14 from the field in general, 0 for 5 from 3. Derek White went 3 for 10 from 3, but he finished with 17 points. Drew Holiday finished with 11, and Peyton Pritchard off the bench, he finished with 14. And then for the Magic, Paulo Banchero, 32 points. Franz Wagner, 25 points. And then looking at both teams, they both shot around the same. Actually, the Magic shot a little bit better. 47.6% from the field. Celtics shot 45%. But both did not shoot great from three. The Magic were 7 of 29 from three. They just could not, hit big shots. And I feel like, they were still kind of hanging around. This game never really got so out of hand that the Magic couldn't come back and maybe pull off an upset. But it's just they could not make a shot when they really needed to. But yeah, they shot 24% from three. Celtics shot 32% from three. You figure if Tatum's able to come back for the series, that obviously will be better. But, we'll see what happens. But yeah, Celtics out-rebounded the Magic. And they go up 2-0. And I think, it's going to be tougher without Tatum. But I feel like they could get by this series without him. But once you start getting into the later rounds in the playoffs, it's going to be tougher. And they play the winner of the Pistons or the Knicks. And look, they've owned the Knicks. The Knicks were not able to win a game against them. I don't know what was the. I know the Pistons actually did beat them at one point, and that was in the middle of their winning streak that they had, I believe. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Tatum. But actually, I wanted to get into what happened with Porzingis. So Porzingis got elbowed in the face, and he was bleeding. Like it was really bad. But they patched him up, and he was fine, of course, which is good to see. But yeah, it was an ugly scene on the court. But Joe Mazzulla, their head coach, he said in his press conference, "I like watching him bleed on the court." I mean, now that's the quote that SportsCenter posted. Obviously, there was more context to it, but just kind of strange, saying that. But listen, Porzingis is a tough guy, and finished the game. Like I said, they patched him up, and he was back out there. So yeah, Celtics get the win. They're up 2-0. I mean, this series to me is over. But we'll see now with this shifting back to Orlando. Can the Magic uh, get a game and get themselves back in the series? I don't think they really can, even with Tatum being out. It looked like maybe for a moment we could see an upset in the Cleveland Miami game yesterday. Miami got to within, I think, 1 point late in the fourth quarter. I was paying more attention to the Celtics game, so I really wasn't watching that. But Miami got it to within a one possession game. It was 101-99. Davion Mitchell hit a big three before that. Yeah, they went on a 5-0 run. Well, if you even want to call it a 5-0 run. But, yeah, they got themselves back in the game. He hit a couple of threes, a couple of big threes. And then Tyler Hero, had the two-pointer that had them down by 2. But then Donovan Mitchell, he made a couple of big shots down the stretch. When it was a one possession game again, he hit a two-pointer, and then on Cleveland's next possession, he hit a 3 to put them up 7. And once that happened, that was basically it. Then I turned it off and focused my attention to the Warriors game. But looking at both teams, Miami shot the ball well, 52%. Cleveland shot 47%, almost 50% from 3 for Cleveland. For Miami, 35%. Leading scorers, Donovan Mitchell finished with 30 points. Darius Garland had 21. Max Strus had 14. Evan Mobley had 20. Off the bench, DeAndre Hunter had 12. For Miami, Tyler Hero had 33 points. He was solid. Davion Mitchell had 18. Bam Adebayo had a double-double, 14 rebounds, 11 points. Almost had a triple-double. He had 9 assists. Andrew Wiggins had 10. Highsmith had 17 off the bench. Jovic had 11 off the bench as well. But yeah, Miami just does not have enough to compete with Cleveland. And you figure you can get maybe you make a big move in the offseason. You get a star player, maybe Kevin Durant, someone. You'll be in a better position. But yeah, they just don't have enough. They don't have enough, unfortunately, to compete with Cleveland. But they haven't. It's not like they've embarrassed themselves. I mean. The other night they did lose by 20, but still, I mean, it was really because of a big fourth quarter by Cleveland. It kind of separated the gap even more. But, yeah, it's just they don't have enough. They don't have enough. So now we get to the Warriors-Rockets game. And things may have turned in this series last night because of a major injury. So Jimmy Butler left the game early, landed on his backside. This was early in the game. He left the game with a pelvis contusion, and he was ruled out for the rest of the game. And the Warriors right now just don't have enough. You got Steph Curry. Other guys are going to have to step up, but I feel like if Jimmy Butler is out, for the rest of the series, he's getting an MRI today, but if he's out the rest of the series, I think the Rockets, I think this shifts now back in their favor, because he's a huge part of this team now. All the Warriors have done since Jimmy Butler has come over is win, and other guys are going to have to step up for the Warriors, but I don't know if they're going to be able to, because now everybody's just going to be focusing on Curry. Now, if you had Jimmy Butler out there, now it's like pick your poison, but now it's just all right. We got to take Steph Curry out of the game, and someone else try to beat us. And you saw that last night. Curry was doing the best he could. He was trying to, chuck up some threes to get them back in the game, but it just wasn't the case. But yeah, looking at the statistics from last night, best player last night was Jalen Green. Finished with 38 points, 13 of 25 from the field, 8 of 18 from 3. He was on fire last night. Şengün, he finished with 17 points, 16 rebounds. He finished with a double-double. Dylan Brooks, he finished with 16 points. Easton off the bench finished with 14. Things got chippy in this game. Draymond Green, I was getting into it with the Rockets. I forget who he was getting getting into it with it. Was it Jalen Green or East? I know someone threw a towel at somebody. Things got chippy. But for the Warriors, though, yeah, Steph Curry finished with 20 points. Not a great shooting night, 6 of 15 from the field. Moses Moody had 12. Jonathan Kuminga saw more minutes last night. He had 11 points off the bench. Quinn Post, he had 12 off the bench. But yeah, it's just they ended up losing 109-94. The Rockets, even with Jalen Green having this big game, they never really stomped on the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors still kind of hung around a little bit. I know it got to as much as 20 at certain points, but the Warriors did narrow the gap. But yeah, I mean, they ultimately lost by 15 here. But yeah, now this shifts back to Golden State. Again, if Jimmy Butler's out for an extended period of time, if he's out for the rest of the series, yeah, I think this might be the end for the Warriors. I really do believe that. But we'll see. We'll see. So, for the Celtics, they got a win without Tatum. Cleveland picked up a win. So both those teams are up 2-0 in their series. And the Rockets, they even up the series at 1 game apiece. Now, I believe I did say that. I said I believe the Rockets are going to even up the series, even before the game, when we were doing picks yesterday for the show. But yeah, wasn't hoping for Jimmy Butler to get hurt. So we'll see what happens. Again, he gets an MRI today. We'll see what the update is, and how long he's going to be out if he misses any time at all. Now, I think the next time they play is Saturday, so hopefully it's not too serious. But yeah, it looked pretty bad when he landed on his backside, how he did. But let me know what you guys think about the games from last night. So we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, we will discuss the games for tonight. We will preview them: Pistons, Knicks, Grizzlies, Thunder, and then the last one. What's the other one? There's three on tonight. Nuggets, Clippers, which is a very good series. So we'll get into all of that when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.